Dear Reddit, have you ever ruined somebody's life? Working for DirecTV doing sales at their inbound call center. Guy calls up saying he wants service at his house. Says his girlfriend just moved in and he didn't have cable before, but she wants it. He passes the credit check. He selects a package and DVR. I am reading legal disclosures when call cuts off. I ask a manager for permission to call him back at the number he provided. I call and a woman answers. I ask if he is there. She said no. I told her I was just talking about getting his direct hooked up and needed his go ahead to complete the order. She was suspicious call center calling her asking for info, so she asked me to verify name, address and credit card number. As soon as I read off the address she stops me. Who the frick's house is that? I said his. He is getting this for his girlfriend who just moved in. I am his now about to be ex-wife. That mother sucker is dead. And she hangs up. TLDR. Desperate for a sale, I call a guy back after a disconnected call and inadvertently revealed to his wife that he has a lady on the side. Haha. For some reason I read that as a ghost story at first. I was like, spooky. The mother ordered DirecTV from the Grave. My extended family likes to blame me for ruining my uncle's life. Apparently his systematic physical abuse of me from 9-13 was my fault and I shouldn't have reported it. He lost his job. They had to move. God, cow of doom. He had to go to jail and it's all your fault. Thank goodness my parents helped pay for his defense, so he only got 3 months in jail. I'd hate to think what they'd blame me for if he was in jail longer. This one time when I was about 9-10, me and my friend were running around the house like kids do. We ran towards my room and I slammed the door with a metal lock right behind him. He fell down to the ground whilst holding his fingers. Opened the door again to see the top of his middle finger sliding down the door frame. You could see the guy's bone. The doctors managed to stitch it back on, but today it still looks bent and retarded. Gave him an electric motorcycle toy and I've never spoken to him again. Guess I didn't ruin his life, but I fricked his chances of ever learning an instrument. TLDR. Extreme nail clipping. Best TLDR I've seen in a while. Like it should be in the X Games or something. I met my sister's future fiancé when we were 13. He goes, "Hi, I'm Alan." I go anal. Nickname stuck for the rest of his life. Well, he nailed your sister, so I think you're even. Dear Reddit, have you ever ruined somebody's life? Yes, I'm sure Reddit has ruined many lives. Destroying relationships one click at a time. Yeah, there was this fat kid in middle school who used to carry around a small filing cabinet system everywhere with him instead of a backpack, which brought on plenty of flack from kids. One time he dropped it down the stairs, papers flying everywhere. Not only did I and several other kids not help, we all stood there pointing and laughing at him. He once brought a stick of butter to school and ate it for attention, which ended up being mostly negative. Again, lots of pointing and laughing. 3 to 4 years later, can't remember exactly, he hangs himself in his room. His parents and younger sister finding him still feel crappy, especially as I know his little sister. When I was in high school, I sat next to a kid that was the typical Star Wars nerd. We'll call him Luke, who really didn't have many friends. He was really annoying me by talking about our economics homework, and basically, I was right and he was trying to convince me something that he thought to be true, but it wasn't even close. So I pulled out my phone and sent a text message to someone and put my phone in my pocket, which sparked him to start bragging about his brand new phone he got, and is telling me how mine is just a piece of junk. And this just makes him a better person than me. I was so annoyed that I responded with, "Yeah, well, mine has this really cool feature called a contact list of people that aren't just my parents, so frick off." I really didn't mean to say it, but there's no way to take something like that back. So me, being the immature butthole that I was, didn't say anything about it. So about 2 months later, I get called into the principal's office, along with about 10 of my friends. The principal tells us about how Luke has been arrested and expelled from school because the police found a homemade bomb in Luke's closet, along with a gun and a hit list of everyone in the room's name. He planned on killing all of us that week. I haven't heard a lot about him since, but I do know that he's doing better and is leading a normal life. There isn't a day that goes by that I don't think about how close I unknowingly came to death and the things I could have done to reach out to this kid. TLDR. Without thinking, I bullied a kid. He made a homemade bomb and planned on killing me and all my friends. One day out and about, I showed my wife how to recognize bad text kerning. She hates me now. Apparently after my mom gave birth to me, she got addicted to the drugs they gave her during delivery she was prescribed, then slowly declined into debilitating mental illness. I know there were other factors leading into all of it, but the fact that me being born triggered all of it sort of sucks to think about. That really isn't your fault. Being born isn't exactly something you can choose. I introduced someone to Reddit. He now owns over 7 cats, taking pictures of them all day long. Jesus, that's a lot of cats. He's dead now. Last year my wife, 2-year-old daughter, and myself were robbed at gunpoint in our car in Honduras. Apparently the guy had killed over 50 locals, but we were the first tourists he attacked. We are all fine, lost $40, but I emailed the plantation owner we were on and wrote a nice email informing them of what happened. They formed a Vigilante squad, who captured him and gave him to the police. He was released from prison in the morning and found dead in the dump 2 hours earlier. Since our judicial is so corrupt, the police performed their own justice. Am I responsible? Nope. But that email changed that dude's life. That email probably saved a lot of lives. I used to work in the tech support computer repair department at a large electronics store. A laptop came in with child stuff on it. I was the one to report it. When I got to court to testify about it, I found out that the boy who owned the laptop had just turned 18. I keep telling myself that it didn't matter how young he was. This white thug wannabe kid tried to pick a fight with me when I was 17 or 18 at a little league baseball park. I tried to ignore him but he wouldn't stop. It was really bad timing because the reason I was there was to clear my head after a messy breakup. Anyway, we went to this back parking lot area. It was my friend and me versus the thuggy guy with his 2 friends. My friend took the bigger of the 2 friends. I kicked thug guy in nuts first thing and went after his friend. He was on the ground after a couple hits and I moved on to the thuggy guy. We exchanged a few blows and I ultimately got the upper hand. I kneed him in the stomach and threw him down, and then got on top of him. I am not sure how many times I punched him in the face or for how long. I was just getting it all out on his face. I didn't really snap out of it until my friend pulled me off of him and I saw what I had done to him. His face was a bloody mess. His nose was definitely not in the right place. His eyebrow was split open wide as was his bottom lip. He wasn't moving much more than his arms a little. We ran away while his friends tried to pick him up. Remember Jared Leto in Fight Club? Yeah, it was like that. Many months later my friend called me and told me that he was at a party and saw him. Apparently his face was badly scarred and his nose was crooked. A year or so after I got another call from my friend telling me that he just heard that the guy killed himself. I really wish I could go back in time and stopped myself from ever fighting him. I want to tell his family that I am sorry. I want to tell him that I'm sorry. Back in 4th grade there was this one girl that always got picked on by everyone. I wasn't exactly a bully or a prick, but I went along with all of it. One day, after a field trip, my friends and I were talking about her, not sure why, and a parent asked who she is. I blurted out a girl no one likes and the lady just said oh and left. Turns out that lady was the girl's mom. The girl found out and spent the entire day bawling and missed school for a couple days and I got a month's worth of detention. I apologized, but still feel terrible for it. Probably the only regret of my life. I haven't seen her since, but I heard she's doing fine. The girl will grow up and be just fine. Her parents, not so much. The girl found out and spent the entire day bawling. I guarantee her parents were in no better shape. I slept with a guy's 5-month pregnant wife. She and I worked together and I didn't know the husband. I was 20, lonely, and frisky, and she was 35. She approached me with the proposition of hooking up. She said her husband ignored her and I treated her like a human being, and all I could think about was can't get pregnant, disease free, no condom, no problems. She told her husband like 3 hours after we did it and he got on Facebook and harassed my parents and sister about it, but didn't say anything to me. I found out later that he had even created a fake profile to try spy on me well before the affair happened. He friended all of my friends, but not me because I didn't know the person, and then used said profile to tell my friends what had happened. It turns out she would go home after work and talk about me all the time. I never even knew. I just worked with her is all. Wasn't even attracted to her. Well, up until she wanted to frick. That is. They're fine now, though. So I guess I didn't ruin anyone's life. You came all over the baby's face. I accidentally threw away my kid's Pokemon cards. He still hasn't forgiven me. No, because I'm a nice person, and I never leave the house. I fricked my ex-girlfriend mom. She found out about this 2 days later. I'm going to heck and beyond for this, and I regret destroying someone's, 2 persons in fact, life. There's not a day that goes by that I don't feel bad for this. I was in the military. I had a guy in my platoon was the essence of an ashat. We'll call him PVT, ashat. He was cocky, unmotivated, aggressive, and most of all couldn't do crap. Couldn't shoot straight, couldn't speak with stammering, could barely make his cot. We eventually got shipped downrange, overseas few civvies. One hot July day, the insurgents attack our base. The alarms rings. Mortars start shooting. We gear up and head to battle. It was our first engagement, and I had the luxury of having PVT, a shat accompany me on an overwatch position, covering your boys, essentially providing security in case you need to retreat or need backup. PVT, a shat starts firing at nothing, literally not even providing suppressing fire, just shooting away with a light machine gun. Did I mention, we are light on ammo, as a convoy hadn't made it to our free on board yet. I slapped him pretty hard because he couldn't hear me yelling ceasefire over the loud bangs of a 5.56 being shot at a 700 revolution per minute. The thing is, I slapped him so hard, he lost his footing, ended up falling over the edge of the balcony he was sitting on, broke both his legs, got the boot out the military. He was such a jackass the brass thought he simply fell, without help. Got too gung-ho shooting. I could have made up an excuse, said I bumped into him during the fight. I was scared of the repercussions. I remained silent. He told me all he ever wanted to do was be in the military, make him mom and dad proud of him. As the medevac chopper was leaving, he held my hand and told me thanks for being my only friend while he was here. He was a dopey, lonely man whose only friend knocked him from a 3rd-story balcony and got him kicked out of the military. I won't defend the things I did. I know I fricked up. PVT, a shat, you may have been moronic, may have endangered my life more times than I can count, but you were an honest and true man. That's more than I could ever say for myself. Hooah. You probably saved his life that day. Number. That was my ex-wife's job. I know some of you will read this and think that I'm a horrible person, but I still think that I did the right thing. Don't worry, I'll provide context. The fact that I got no small amount of personal enjoyment is just an added bonus. This guy was a dong, and in the course of 2 weeks, I completely wrecked his life. So, story time. 3 years ago, right when the market bottomed out, I purchased a really nice house for dirt cheap. I got it from a relocation company that was going out of business, and they just wanted to get it off their books, so they sold it to me for a fraction of the cost. It was awesome. Anyway, because I was looking at it as an investment that I'd sell when the market rebounded, I invited a couple of people to live with me. I gave them a great deal on rent, because all I really had to do was hold on to the place. In total, the rent covered the property taxes and that was about it. So, killer place to live for dirt cheap. I'd say that the guys I invited to move in were getting a pretty good deal, right? Well, one of them was really appreciative at first, but slowly morphed into a dong after about 6 months. Argumentative, didn't clean. He was just kind of a crappy person in general, to the point that I had to ask 5 or 6 times for rent, even when I knew he had the money. How do I know he had the money? Well, because of a complication. See, after he moved in, he actually got a job where I worked, not on the same team, but we had the same employer and worked in the same building. So things just kind of exist in this weird state for a while. Our friendship deteriorated, but put up with him because an investment is more about money, right? And also, I'm not really a confrontational person, so I didn't put up too much of a fuss when he didn't clean or when he cheated on his girlfriend or got drunk and didn't even throw the dang bottles away. Then it happened, I guess. Looking back, this guy had a lot of anger in him. and he really was his own worst enemy because he'd allow it to come out at the worst possible times. The time that caused everything to happen was maybe the worst. He wanted some assistance from my team, and when we didn't get it done fast enough for him, he started crap talking me and my team on Twitter. I confronted him about it and he was arrogant and condescending. The next day, after I'd talked about it with him, he kept going, calling me out by name and suggesting I wasn't fit for my job. To top it all off, after I left work that night, I went over to my girlfriend's house to find her seething with anger. Apparently our antagonist had told her I'd been cheating on her. I hadn't been. So, enraged, I go into revenge mode. This is too long a story, so I'll pick it up in the next comment. Throwaway. I need to get this off my chest. When I was in primary school I used to steal or beg for money around my school. Due to the fact that I never had any money for school, I was quite good at stealing. I could pull wallets out from people's pockets without them even noticing, and put them back in. When I begged I basically would walk up to high school students and ask if they had any money. I was very cute I dare say, and I could collect up to RM5 from asking people. Sometimes I would creep into people's class tables and eat their food, drink their water, etc. But there was one table in my class that was almost a 100% jackpot for money. I was 11 around this time when I would constantly steal money from this table in my class. The table belonged to a boy, Elton. And it wasn't just coins that I would find. I would come across RM10 notes, which is a lot for lunch money. Whenever the class was empty, I would sneak in and just grab whatever money there was. I did this every day for half a year, until that day. It was during class when Elton burst into tears and everyone gathered around to see what was wrong. He told the class about the money, how he had been saving up to buy something nice for his mother's birthday, but the money would always disappear. I felt like crap for doing it and so I stopped. I never confronted Elton about it, and a few months later, his mother passed away. I was quite mean to a lot of people in high school, but I never bothered Elton, because of what I did to him. Ever since then, I stopped stealing and would rather leave myself to starve if I never got any food. TLDR. Stole money from classmate who had been saving it to buy gifts for mother, who passed away not long after. Wow. Dated a crazy girl, basically homeless, let her live with me, got her a job, back on her feet. She was doing great. Then I didn't like her anymore. Broke up with her in a pretty brutal way, kicked her out. She lost her job, moved to another province, and now she is a prostitute to make money. Oops. My own. Quite effectively. So first some background. My 7th grade English teacher was this really awesome and laid back guy, who pretty much lets us do what we want. So I often played games with my friends while also doing research and whatnot. One day he had a sub who wasn't really paying attention. So what the heck? Me and my friends decide to play truth or dare. It goes well at first and we have some good laughs. But then it happened. One of my friends dares me to pick a random girl in the class, pull her hair, and yell is that a wig, so I do. I find some random chick, proceed to yank off her wig, and proclaim for the whole class to hear is that a wig. Holy crap, I've made a huge mistake. She actually has a wig. I slowly walk back to my seat and sit down. The girl runs from the classroom crying. That was not a fun day. TLDR. Played truth or dare, ended up yanking off some chick's wig. I somehow talked my wife into marrying me. Yep, I did. There was a guy in my high school government class trying to pass so he could get his diploma. He had been held back for a couple years and finally had only that class between him and graduating. Some friends of mine were skipping class to go to the beach and get high. I convinced him to come along. We all graduated. He got kicked out of school. I've always wanted to tell him I effed up. I shouldn't have talked him into coming. I am sorry. I hope that buzz didn't impact his future the way I imagine it did. Did it, Bubba? So people are being generous here. I think I may have left out the part that makes me feel guilty. I kinda liked the guy, but was not mature enough to admit it. Or likely I had a boyfriend, but we had the Sparks flirty high school thing going on. Anyway, I knew he had a crush on me. I was always nice to him, but in this situation no one could talk him into going. When I asked he said yes. As his friend I should have said no, but then again, In my own defense, I did think getting stoned was the best thing for all of us at the time, so thanks for your responses. But I still feel guilty, and no, it wasn't BW. I've gotten 5 people fired for viewing and or storing pee on the company network. Keep that crap on your phone or at home, people. You have been visited by the magical sugar jar Puggo. He'll only share his sweetener if you comment Surga please, Mr. Pupper. Thanks for watching. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.